This is Diana and welcome to Crafted Sweetly. In this video, I will show you how to make some really cool cards using napkins. There is such a variety of napkins that you can get super creative with patterns and designs. So I picked a few different interesting designs. So first of all, when you take a napkin, it actually has layers. So this is your napkin, but if you go closely in, there's actually layers to the napkin, and it might mean trying a different corner to kind of separate the napkin. So you just try and go around the various corners and see where you can actually catch the layers to separate them. And some will have 2 plies or 3 plies. So this one has 3 plies here. And I'll show you, like the first one is right here. So I'm just going to separate and take this one off. And then there is one more ply here. So I will take the white one off and then just leave the sheet or the layer that has the pattern on it. As you can see, I'm separating this off, and then you'll be left just with the layer. And with this, I do go around instead of pulling on the corner so I don't rip the napkin. So those layers I don't need. This is the one I'm going to be working with. For this card, I am taking cardstock that I had cut out to 5.5 by 4.25 card, and I will use this pattern to attach on here. Now there are different ways you can attach the napkin to the front of the card. One of the ways that I like to do is using the Xyron sticker maker, because it covers the entire surface of the card, so that way I don't end up with streaks. I have tried Mod Podge. I prefer this if at all possible to use it. So for this, I'm just going to run this through the sticker maker. So once you run this through, when I remove this, I will have the front of the card is basically a very large sticker. So I will open this just so that to make sure that it doesn't stick together, and I can clean off a little bit of the edges before I attach the napkin. So this part may have a little bit of residue on it, and this, I really only want the sticker to be on this portion of it, the sticker portion. Alright, so now I'm going to take the napkin, and you can figure out how you want the pattern to be placed on the card. I'm going to do this one landscape. And you could trim this down a little bit, and I will do that just to make it a little bit easier to work with, just to give me a little less of a sheet that I have to try and position. So for this, I will take this and just line it up. Okay, so I've lined this up, and then I push it from this out to get any of the air bubbles out. As you can see, it's nice and smooth. And even when there was a crease, that kind of disappeared as I press on the napkin, because it's so thin, it really just takes onto the card. Okay, now the rest of it, this excess, you can use scissors or an X-Acto knife to cut off the extra portion of it. So once you have attached the napkin to the card, you can just continue doing the decorating. You can add the sentiment, or it really does not need any additional flourishes, because you already have the design here, so you want this to be the focal point, but just a nice sentiment here would be the option. For the next card, I cut out an acetate using the Crafter Companions nested dies. So it was this set of dies that I used and cut out of acetate. It will be the window eventually, but I am attaching napkin to this portion of it. So I cut this out, and then from same size card, I will cut out a window. So I'm going to run this through, because I want to have sticker on here. So I'll just run this through the Xyron sticker maker. And now I have this with, so the acetate is just sticky on one side. And for this one, I'm using this napkin, and what I'll do is to do it on the reverse instead of trying to do it on the front. It'll be easier to position that way. I don't want this gold line as part of the picture, and I want the rose kind of off to the side. So I've attached this here, and now we just have to trim this part off. And it does, you can use, for this I'll actually use scissors. It's like fussy cutting the napkin off. So I'll cut the majority off first. It'll make it easier to trim the napkin off. So once you've done with the fussy cutting, then you have this, which is really almost like colored acetate with the pattern on it. I will cut a window out of this, and I attached the window portion where I'll do the cutout to the front. But when you run it through the machine, obviously make sure that you open this, otherwise you're gonna cut the window through both portions of the card. Once you have cut out the aperture here, I will take this acetate and I'm going to glue this on the inside here. Now for this I will use some art glitter glue to put around the edges and then glue it inside. And then the art glitter glue is this. Okay, so once I've put just a little bit of art glitter glue just on the border itself, this gets attached down here. And there you have this portion of it. And now you can of course add sentiment here, additional embellishments, whatever you wish to it. But as you look through this card, it does have a little bit of vellum kind of look to it. You can almost see that, you can see through it because it's just a very thin design. So some napkins will be easier to separate than others, but if you fiddle with it, you will be able to get the napkins to separate. Okay, so this is a really pretty pattern. And what I thought this would be a good one to do is doing a slimline. For a slimline card, I cut out a piece of cardstock that's just a little under 9 inches tall, and as far as the width, it's 7.5 inches. So that when I fold it in half, it's 3.75 inches. So I'm going to use my score buddy to mark this at 375. And I do have to flip this around. So I'm using this as the starting point for the card, and then I will apply this napkin to the front of the card. It's similar to this design that I did, except obviously this is a slim line, and covering the majority of it, or covering all of it with, because this doesn't have white space, I will just use, you can kind of figure out which portion of the pattern you want in this. Might be here, you can really put it on the card however you wish. So I will run this through the Xyron machine. And this makes it really nice that you don't have to apply glue, and it's a nice even layer versus trying to paint it with Mod Podge. So I'm just gonna kind of go right down the middle with it. So on the back side of it, it's gonna make it a little easier. Let's see how many of the butterflies I can capture. So we'll put this down here, press to make sure that it sticks well to it. And then this side you can come back, and you can even use a bone folder to kind of just make sure that this is pressed well on the card. And all the little creases get worked out. It kind of smooths it out. Okay, so I will use, you can use X-Acto knife, scissors, whatever is easier for you. Okay, so that would be the front of your card right there, and then you can do the inscription inside. For this one, I would probably put a sentiment right in the middle in between the two butterflies for the design. Okay, but this really makes a beautiful card just using a napkin. So as far as some of these cards, you could say, well, I can just use printed paper. Why bother putting a napkin on a card when I can just get the paper with the pattern on it? One nice way to use this technique is, for example, if you have custom-made napkins for an occasion. Now this is an older napkin, obviously 1996 on here, but you can do the same thing, separate the napkin. It was a 3-ply napkin, and then apply this onto some kind of a card to put it on the front of a card. So I cut out, this is actually the leftover piece from the card that I did here. So when I cut this out, I have this left over, and this is the perfect size to apply on here. Once this is cut around it, I'll add some foam squares to the back just to give it a little more dimension instead of directly flat onto the card itself. So let's say if you go to a wedding and they have custom napkins, you can take one of those napkins and then create a 1-year anniversary and make a card out of it. And you know, it just has a lot more meaning than a card from the store. There you have the card, and you can send this as opposed to just an anniversary card. So you could have this and then put a sentiment of happy anniversary right along the base of the card. But this is a unique way to use the napkin application versus some of these other ones, which of course, you know, like I said, you can use a printed cardstock with it to make these cards. I hope you enjoyed this video. As you can see, you can create some really unique cards with some really beautiful napkin patterns. This one has the acetate in it. Then with this one I just added just a little bit of embellishment, and the stamp I did stamp directly onto the napkin. You can see that it's really a rich color to it because the napkin absorbed the paint, or the ink I should say. And then this one I just added the sentiment on a card, but did add a little bit of foam underneath it to give it a little more dimension. And then again, this is the one that is custom made, and again, on a 1-year anniversary, this would be a perfect card to send to somebody. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please comment below. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.